All right, everyone. Thank you guys for joining us tonight for the basketball pre-competition webinar, not preseason. Sorry, I've been doing a couple preseason webinars this week. Two quick things before we start. The 3-on-3 coaches heard about this, but Special Olympics Maryland has started a 90-day Fit 5 fitness challenge. It started this past Saturday, just working on, creating a healthier lifestyle, physical activity, nutrition, hydration. And this goes until Friday, June 17th, which is the lead up to our summer games at Towson University. So you can see the link below. This will be sent out as well with the slides and the follow-up tomorrow. But you can sign up to join the challenge. So make sure you talk to your athletes about it and see if anyone try to convince people to join the challenge. And then Jersey Mike's, I know a lot of you have heard about this already, but Jersey Mike's is in the month of March, has the month of giving, where proceeds go to the USA Games, which is really awesome. On the day of giving, March 30th, make sure you find a Jersey Mike's in your area so that you can go. 100% of the proceeds goes to USA Games. So definitely go try to get some food from them. They have really great food. They're amazing. But on March 30th, 100% of the proceeds goes to USA Games, which is really awesome. For those of you that don't know, Team Maryland has 192 delegation members going to USA Games. So this is a great way to support Special Olympics as well as the USA Games coming up. Just a reminder, this Saturday of the state championship, 5-on-5 traditional and unified will be playing. And Sunday, we have individual skills, 3-on-3 player development, and 3-on-3 traditional. So just make sure you take note of which day your team or athletes will be playing. We're going to go ahead and get started. Just going through a few things tonight, talking about some points of emphasis that I just want to remind you guys about. The facility, since it is a new facility, we will be at the University of Maryland, which is really amazing. I'm super excited. We will be at the Xfinity Center, so where the Terps actually play their basketball games, which is really cool to have that facility in use this week. So just a reminder, all schedules will be posted on the basketball coach resource page no later than tomorrow, Thursday, March 24th at 5 p.m. The coaches resource page, as most of you guys should know, is very mobile friendly. So you can sign up you can get to it on your phone, and it's very easy to see it. The link is at the bottom. We will have results posted on there. I'm going to hopefully try to get it during the event, but don't hold me to it. But the results will be posted on there no later than Tuesday, March 29th. For anyone that wants to be involved with the athlete and coach's oath, we are looking for volunteers to recite these 2 oaths at the state championships this weekend. We will have 3 opening ceremonies. We'll have a 5v5 on Saturday morning. We will have a 3-on-3 opening ceremony Sunday morning. And then we'll have an individual skills opening ceremony Sunday afternoon. So if you have an athlete or an athlete and partner that want to get up and recite the athlete's oath, or you as a coach want to do the coach's oath, then please send me the nominations by tomorrow at 5, trying to get things going. If I don't get any nominations, I will be picking someone at the event. So send me nominations, please. Just going through a couple of the schedules. For Saturday, the 5-on-5 traditional and unified, we will have delegation check-in at 8:15. So the doors to the Xfinity Center will not open until 8 a.m. Please do not get there earlier. If you get there earlier, you're going to be in your car. The doors will not open until 8 a.m. We'll have a coaches meeting at 8:45 on Gary Williams Court, which is the main court at the Xfinity Center where the Terps play. Opening ceremony will be at 9 a.m. Competition, which the games will start at 9:30. So it's a little bit earlier than we're typically used to. But with all the games that we have going on, we want to make sure we get a little bit earlier of a start. Lunches will begin at 11 a.m. and we'll go over lunches later in the presentation. So for 3-on-3 traditional and player development, it's the same scheduling. Check in at 8:15. Again, the doors will not open until 8 a.m. Please do not tell your athletes to get there before 8 a.m. Coaches meeting will be at 8:45. Opening ceremonies again will be at 9, with the game starting at 9:30. Lunch starting at 11. Please make sure you guys pick up your lunches. We'll go through that again later, but and then the conclusion of the competition will be approximately 12:15. So it is a very short day. We have 6 courts for 3-on-3, so it is able to have a pretty short day. There will be an opening ceremonies, as I mentioned, for individual skills at 12:30 on the Gary Williams court, the main court of the Xfinity Center. For individual skills, delegation check-in will start at 11:30. Your athletes are welcome to come early. That is fine. As long as they don't get there before 8, that's fine. If they want to watch some 3-on-3 games, awesome. We'll have a coaches meeting at noon down on the court. It'll be off the court, obviously, because there'll be games still going on, and then setting up for the skills competition. We'll have your opening ceremony at 12:30 with the competition of the preliminary rounds starting at 1. We don't have that many athletes this year. I put an hour. I really don't think it's going to take an hour to go through the preliminary rounds. But we'll go through the preliminary rounds. Once the preliminary rounds are finished, we will take a 30-minute break, okay, so that we can redivision for the medal rounds. The medal rounds will start 30 minutes after competition for the preliminary rounds ends. So we will have someone announce when it's time to come back and everything like that. So please make sure your athletes don't go far. Pretty much going to be get some water, use the restroom, come back. We want to make sure we get these events in and out so you guys aren't hanging around for too long. Approximately, like I said, I think we're going to be done before 3:30, but approximately done by 3:30 if it takes the full hour to do the competition. But as I mentioned, and I'll repeat again at the coaches meeting, remind you guys again that at 1 o'clock when the competition starts, within 30 minutes of that ending, we will start the medal round. So I know typically we usually have like an hour lunch break. We're just going to go and be done. For those teams that ordered lunches for skills, please eat them either before the competition or after. And coaches have to pick up the lunches. We're not going to give them out to the individual athletes. Their coaches need to pick them up for the entire group. The 30-minute break is not going to be enough time to eat their lunch, okay? Maybe a snack, that's fine, but it's not going to be enough time to eat a lunch. Make sure you pick up these lunches before or after competition is over. So just some locations. All games will be played at the Xfinity Center. I'll send out the address obviously tomorrow with the schedule, but just so that you're aware when you see the schedule, on Saturday, the 5-on-5 team competition will be Gary Williams Court, which is the main Xfinity Center court. So main court where everyone, the Terps play, will be considered court 1. In the pavilion, that is going to be considered courts 2 and 3. The pavilion is in the Xfinity Center. It's where volleyball plays. It's a basketball practice gym. It's still a very, very nice gym. So don't think you're getting put aside. It's still a very nice gym. And both courts are full-size courts. They have 3-point lines. They have all the outbounds, plenty of space. So pavilion, courts 2 and 3. Gary Williams Court is court 1. On Sunday, the 3-on-3 team competition, so that's PDU and traditional, they're going to be kind of mixed together. The pavilion is courts 1 through 4. So when you see the schedule, if you're playing on courts 1 through 4, you will be in the pavilion, which again is in the Xfinity Center building. Courts 5 and 6 are Gary Williams Court. So the main court is going to be our courts 5 and 6. And we'll have signs up, obviously, and there'll be lots of staff around to help you. But just to let you know, courts 1 through 4 in the pavilion, courts 5 and 6 on Gary Williams Court, where opening ceremonies will take place. Sunday, individual skills. Level 1 skills will be in the pavilion. There's more room in there. There's more athletes in level 1. So there's more room in there. We want to make sure the athletes have enough space. They can spread out, everything like that. So the pavilion will be level 1 skills. Gary Williams Court, the main court where opening ceremonies takes place, will be level 2 skills. So they will be separated. I know typically we usually have one in the main gym, one in the auxiliary gym, kind of like we are here. But level 1 is going to be in the pavilion. Level 2 will be in the main court on Gary Williams Court. And I know going through this pretty quickly. These will be sent out to you. This recording will be sent out to you. And we will have time for some questions in a little bit. And I did just see a chat that the Team Maryland 3-on-3 team has been practicing the oath in sign language. So congratulations, Upper Shore Gibbons. You guys are going to be doing the oath at opening ceremonies. That's really awesome. Okay, so just want to qualifier in March. What was it, a week and a half?
Melissa,
yes.
You were frozen there for a bit.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, that's weird. Sorry about that, guys. So just going over some points of emphasis. The last time we had a state championship was in 2019 for basketball, which is really crazy. We ended the 2020 season right before, like a week and a half before the state championship. So 2019 was the last time we had a state championship. So just a couple reminders that I wanted to send out and talk about tonight. Your rosters, there will be no changes other than scratches or deletions. These rosters are the team assessments that you submitted. They've been on every single, at every game on the score sheet. So there will be no additions. If anyone is written in on the score sheet, well, I'm sorry, there will not be anyone written in on the score sheet. The only thing you can do to those score sheets is fill in the jersey numbers. Okay. So please ensure there is no adding of a player. Uniforms. Competitors who are not in proper uniform will not compete. And I'm going to say that again. Competitors who are not in proper uniform will not compete. I was low lenient at a lot of the qualifiers this year, but at the state championship, if they're not in their proper uniform, they will not go onto that court. Okay. All undershirts and leggings must match. So they must match their other teammates and they must match the uniform. So you can't have a yellow uniform with a lime green undershirt. That does not match. Okay. It has to match the uniform, leggings, and top. If they don't want to wear a shirt underneath their uniform, as long as everything's covered, it's fine. They don't have to wear a shirt underneath their uniforms. But if they do, everyone has to match. If I see someone out of uniform, they will be removed from the court until they get in proper uniform. We are taking this very serious. This has been a rule since I've started, probably before that. So coaches meetings for 3-on-3 and 5-on-5 are at 8:45 a.m. If you do not attend the coaches meeting in the morning because you play in the afternoon, please be sure you still check in at the control center to get all the relevant information that you missed. Please be sure to arrive at least 1 hour before your game time to make sure you're checked in, make sure you get all the information. Everyone must check in, all teams, all head coaches. We don't want your athletes checking with us. The athletes are checking with you. All head coaches must check in at the control center to get your coaches packet. We don't have coaches packets during the qualifiers, but at the state championship, we have coaches packets. So please make sure you check in. It's very important. The coaches meeting for individual skills is at 12 p.m. Again, that's going to be happening during the 3-on-3 competition, but we will be off of the court and not in their way. So all skills, please make sure, coaches, you are there for the 12 o'clock meeting. All right, some points of emphasis, some more. Just working on team management, we have a 0 tolerance for fighting. We haven't, knock on wood, had any issues in a few years, but there is a 0 tolerance. Your whole team could be kicked out. So please make sure that you are controlling your team. If you see one of your athletes start to get upset, pull them out of the game. Coaches need to have control of their teams. Again, we haven't had issues in a while, but just still pointing it out there. There's to be no talking back or arguing with the officials, and that's coaches and athletes and partners. Volunteers, everyone falls into that category. The officials are going to call what they call. Do not come to me and say they didn't call the right thing. I'm not going to change their calls, okay? The officials know what they're doing. All of these officials have been officiating with us for years, so they know what they're doing. Please do not argue with them, okay? And don't come to me expecting to change a call that they made. If they tell you that an athlete has to come out of the game, that athlete must come out of the game. You can politely and nicely and calmly ask them what happened if you don't know, but don't go up to them screaming at them, yelling at them. Take them out of the game. They have the right and the authority to pull someone out of the game if they see them getting too aggressive or intentional fouls or anything like that. The officials have the right to pull someone out. Teams in 5-on-5 are allowed to full court press. That's been a rule for at least the last 5 years, if not more. They are allowed to press in traditional and unified 5-on-5. The only time they are not allowed to press is if a team is up by 15 points, which I really hope that a team doesn't get up by 15 points, but you never know. That is the only time. If a team is up by 15, they are not allowed to press. But if they aren't up by 15, they're full court press and the refs will not stop them. Tie break for 3 team divisions. This year, we only have 1 3-team division. That seems weird to say, but we only have 1 3-team division. The tie break for that division, points allowed. If it's still a tie after the points allowed, we will go to point differential, which is points scored. So your total points scored in all 2 games minus the amount of points that you allowed, and that is your point differential. So that's how we will break the tie. If there happens to be one. Basketballs. Teams are to use their own basketballs for warm-up. Please don't bring like 5 or 10 basketballs. Just bring 2. You don't need that many basketballs to warm up. We don't want them getting lost. We don't want them getting stolen. Bring 2 basketballs, warm up in. We will not be providing basketballs to warm up in. The game ball is not to be used for warming up. And the game balls are not for teams to keep. We have lost so many basketballs over the last few years, and I know this sounds crazy that I'm saying it, but they are not your basketballs. Please do not keep our basketballs. They are donated to us by the MIAA or MPSSA championship. So they are donated to Special Olympics Maryland. So please do not take them. They are used for our game balls. we need to make sure we keep them. So game balls are only be used for games. Please bring your own basketballs for warm-ups. Just some more reviewing. I'm not going to go through all this, but please make sure you review it. We're going to do the same thing we have all season, 3-on-3. You have 2 10-minute halves with a 5-minute halftime. If that ends in a tie, you will do a 3-minute overtime. It's running clock except the last minute of each regulation, or the last minute of regulation. And obviously timeouts, it will stop. And it will stop at the discretion of the official. So if the ball goes rolling far down the court or somewhere else, the officials can stop the clock to ensure that no time runs out when someone's going to get the basketball for them. Timeouts for 3-on-3. 2 60-second timeouts are given per team per game. So you get 2 timeouts per game in 3-on-3. They do not carry over to overtime. So if you don't use your 2 timeouts in the game, the regulation, and you guys have an overtime, you do not carry over those timeouts that you did not use. But you do get 1 additional timeout for overtime. Something that if a team is up by more than 20 points on the scoreboard, we will subtract the score on the scoreboard. We will clear that to 0-0, but we will continue keeping the score on the score sheet. Again, I hope with how we division them, we shouldn't have that issue, but just pointing that out there. 5-on-5, traditional and unified. You will be playing 2 20-minute halves. I know in the required qualifier, we played 18 for the most part. A couple games got cut a little bit shorter, which we really appreciate to help the officials out. But at the state championship, we will be playing 2 20-minute halves with a 5-minute halftime. If there happens to be overtime, it'll be a 5-minute overtime, or I'm sorry, 3-minute overtime as well, just like in 3-on-3. The clock will run except on the first foul shot. It will stop on the first foul shot, and then once the person shooting the foul shot gets the ball, the clock will start again. And it will be stop clock the last 2 minutes of regulation. So the last 2 minutes of each half, it will be a stop clock. And then obviously on timeouts as well. Timeouts, you get 2 60-second timeouts per half. But again, these timeouts do not carry over. So if you only use 1 timeout in the first half, you do not get 3 in the second half. You still only get the 2 in the second half. And then you get 1 timeout for overtime. So I know that's a lot, but it's mostly the same things we've been doing all season. Just maybe for 5-on-5 that the timing is a little bit different, a little bit longer. We want to make sure the athletes get a good amount of playing time if possible. All right, again, I just went through this, so I'm not going to go through it again, but this is the timing for this weekend. Please make sure you review. If you have any questions, just let me know. Okay, so we have a question.
Yes, Melissa, there was a question from in regards to individual skills, I believe was, can individuals bring if we don't have the smaller women's size basketball?
So as I mentioned in the preseason webinar, we're not using the women's basketballs. I know that was in the Special Olympics rules, but as I mentioned in the preseason webinar, all of our teams will be using the regulation men's size basketballs for all the events. Yes, even for skills. Yeah, in the Special Olympics rules, it states that that women and youth can use a women's basketball, but as I mentioned in our preseason webinar, that we will not be adapting that rule. That we're just going to keep it. All athletes will continue to use the men's basketball. Okay. All right, so I'm going to try to talk through these maps the best I can. The next few are a little confusing, so bear with me. So this is just an overview of the Xfinity Center. You can see the 2 yellow X's, which is where parking is, lots 4B and lot 9B. Okay, those are both free and open parking on the weekends. So please have your parents park in lots 4B or 9B. And these are the same parking lots that you can buy parking passes for regular Terps games, literally right next to the stadium. So you can't get any closer. Everyone will enter through gates A and B, which means you have to go up the steps. You enter through gates A and B. These are the same entrances you would use at a Terps basketball game. A and B. You will not be allowed in through C and D, which is on the bottom level. You're going to go up to gates A and B, up the steps to get into the gyms and go through the bag check at that point. You will not be allowed through gates C and D. C and D will be available for handicap only. Okay, they will be only allowed handicap people in. If the ones that can't do the steps outside. Please ensure that all teams and spectators use gates A and B. Okay, I know the steps look very daunting, but please make sure everyone goes through A and B. Okay, that's very important. All right, so we already did this. You have this in? All right, so it's just kind of going through what we went through earlier, where each team or each level will be playing. Okay, so this is an overview of the main concourse level of the Xfinity Center. So you will come in through gates A and B at the top of the steps. At the top of the steps, you will be at the main concourse area. You will then enter into the Xfinity Center, find a seat. That is the main Xfinity Center, Court 1, listed right there. Court 1 for 5-on-5 is where all opening ceremonies will take place. Okay, I know these maps are a lot and they look very confusing. Just look for the words that I put on there. The red arrows are emergency exits that were already on the map, so that's not really. Please take note of that, but it's not to confuse you. You can see the volunteer check-in and the lunch, where lunch is going to be served, is going to be in the Heritage Room. Okay, so for those of you that have been to the Terps basketball clinic that we had, lunch will take place in the Heritage Room, which is where we would meet right inside at the top of the bleachers of the Xfinity Center. So this map, like I said, looks very daunting. I promise you it's not that. It looks worse than it is. On the main concourse area, you can see awards are going to be right around the corner from gate B. So when you come in gate B, you're going to turn literally right around the corner, and awards are going to be right back there on the main concourse level. We will have all awards there for all events, all games, all teams. All the awards will be in the same area. So you can see courts 2 and 3. You don't get to the pavilion from this level, but I just wanted to show you where it was. I'll show you how to get down to it, but this main concourse area is not how you get to court 2 and 3. So for families, when your athlete is not playing in courts 2 and 3 and teams, please go back into the Xfinity Center and sit in the stands there. We have a good amount of room in the pavilion, but it's not enough for all teams to sit in. Please make sure you take your teams back in to the Xfinity Center between games. Okay, to get up and down from the main concourse down to the pavilion level, you will take the elevator, which is right back here. If you can see my mouse, right back here where the little loop is, that is the elevator. These tables, these little squares right here are going to be performance stations. We will have 4 performance stations, which is really awesome. So in between games, make sure you take your athletes over there. I think we're having strong minds, physical fitness, hydration, and nutrition. So take your athletes there between games. See Kayla and Abby, who have worked really hard to get these performance stations together for you guys. So go visit them, go see them. They're a great group. And they have University of Maryland students they're helping to volunteer, which is really awesome. All right, so this is the ground level. So if you enter through gates C and D, which you're not entering through, but that is the level that you're going to come into here. So again, the elevator is this little loop. That's where the elevator is. So that elevator will take you up to the main concourse or bring you down to the ground floor. That is where you will enter into the pavilion right there. Okay. So the pavilion is on the ground floor. The main concourse is up a floor. So ground floor, courts 2 and 3. For teams only, we will not be allowing families and spectators through this hallway. But for teams only, there is a hallway right here where this blue and red arrow is that takes you from the ground floor down behind the Xfinity Center court, Gary Williams Court. So teams only, and please make sure your families know this, teams only will be allowed through this hallway to get from courts 1 to courts 2 and 3 and back. If we see a family member in there, we will instruct them to go back and use the elevator to go up. So please make sure your families know that they are not in that hallway. Okay. This will take you behind the Xfinity Center gym or the court and then back around. So where this arrow is, where it says team check-in / coaches meeting, there's a hallway that takes you to the bottom of the bleachers or the seating, and where you can walk up and have a seat in between games and all of that stuff where you can sit as a team. So again, please, please, please make sure no family members or spectators go through this hallway. It's for teams only. Okay. And again, I know this looks very confusing. It's not as bad as it looks. I promise we'll have lots of arrows, lots of signage. We have lots of amazing staff and management team that are going to be there that can help direct you where you need to go if you get lost. But again, this looks a lot more confusing. These are just the only maps that they gave me. So I'm trying to make the best maps for you. Back here will be the control center as well. So that's where you'll do your check-in when you first arrive, or if you have any issues. I will be running around like always. Well, running as fast as I can with my knee. So. All right, so on to some administrative stuff. Registration and check-in, as I mentioned. Head coaches will check in for their team at the control center, which is back behind Gary Williams Court. So you guys will come down to the main level of the court and then to the back. That is where you will report any scratches. The scratches, we'd like for all teams to report scratches, but that is very, very important, mostly for skills. We need to know all skills scratches when you guys check in. That is where you'll pick up your team packets. You'll have copies of your roster. It'll have a copy of your lunch order that you did submit to me. It will have the coach's credentials. For individual skills, it will have the skills name tags. This year, since we know that the name tags don't stick very well. We understand that. So we are going to stick them onto credentials so that the athletes can just wear them and have it on there so they don't fall off and accidentally get stuck on the Xfinity Center court or the pavilion court. We don't want to mess up their court. That would be a lot. And they've been amazing with us, so we want to make sure we leave the facility better than we left it. So we're going to have all skills coaches or skills athletes with their stickers in a credential holder or on the credential holder. Okay. Again, as I mentioned, team and spectator entrance, everyone must enter through gates A and B. That is up the top of the steps. It is a lot of steps. I'm sorry. but it's a good warm up before your games. Just think of it like that. At the top of the steps, you'll enter through gates A and B. Handicap entrance will be through gate C, which is on the ground level. Then you will take the elevator up to the main concourse area. But please, please, please ensure that everyone enters through gate A and B unless you're in a wheelchair or cannot make it up the steps. And I do not want to hear that 5-on-5 or 3-on-3 athletes can't make it up those steps. It's a lot of steps, but it's not that many. All right. So the University of Maryland will be enforcing their clear bag policy. Okay. Just like it for any games that you attend at the University of Maryland. Fans and spectators will only be allowed to carry the following style and size bags through the Xfinity Center, and they will be checked at the door, just like games. All bags are subject to a search. So I'm not going to go through all these bags. Please read through this. Please, please, please make sure you send this to all of your families. Okay, we got reports that some of the 5v5 coaches did not tell their families that they had to bring their vaccination cards with them to the qualifier. Please, 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 please ensure that they know about the clear bag policy that is in effect. They will not be allowed to bring in a bag if it doesn't meet these requirements. The only exemption is players and coaches, okay? Players and coaches will be allowed to bring their gym bag in, and they will be checked at the door. Once they are checked, they will be tagged. They'll just get a tag put on it on one of the straps or something, showing that it was checked. This is why all athletes and coaches and players, unified partners, must enter through gates A and B, and spectators, because these need to be checked through the spectators as well. This is very important. The reason why you go through gates A and B to get these bags checked. Every single bag must be checked. They're waiving the clear bag policy for our players and coaches. That does not give you the right that we need to follow these rules that Maryland, that the facility is giving us and putting into effect. So please, please, please follow these protocols. Let all your families, all your athletes know of these policies. This is just examples of the approved bags and examples of prohibited bags. Again, these approved and prohibited bags are for spectators and families only. Athletes will be allowed to bring in their gym bags or whatever they use to carry their stuff in for the games if they have a bag, but it will just have to be searched and tagged at the door. Opening ceremonies, they're going to be very brief. We're going to do the oaths. We're going to do the national anthem. We're going to do a thank you to Maryland, a welcome, done. As I mentioned, nominations for the athlete and coaches oath for each will be need to be sent to me by tomorrow at 5. So if you have someone that wants to do the oath, let me know. Or if you yourself want to do the coach's oath. Otherwise, like I said, I will be handpicking someone. So someone should do it. So please. Lunches. Lunches will be picked up by the head coach for your entire team. We will not be giving out lunches for individuals. They come up without a head coach, they will not be getting their lunches. Lunches will be in boxes labeled with what it is, and then everyone will get a water. But please, please, please ensure that the head coach is going to pick up the lunches for their team. As I mentioned, this will be served in the Heritage Room up on the main concourse level. There is room in the Heritage Room to sit and eat. You're more than welcome to sit and eat in the Heritage Room. There'll be tables, there'll be chairs. Please help yourself. We ask that we use that space only for teams and athletes, partners, coaches, just because there's not that many tables in there. So we want to ensure that the athletes and teams that are eating have a seat. So we ask that spectators and families don't do it.
Then one other thing is, as Melissa said, when if you do choose to eat in the Heritage Room, that's fine. Just make sure that as soon as you're done eating, you clean up after yourselves and then vacate so that other teams and other individuals can come in and eat their lunch there as well.
Yes, thank you, Steve. If you see me looking aside, I'm in Steve's office with him, so he's over there. Just a little side note. If you guys eat in the stands, which is fine, you're more than welcome to, please, please, please pick up your trash. Okay. We will be going through and picking up trash because we like to leave facilities better than we receive them, better than when we got there. So if you're sitting and you're eating in the stands, please make sure you throw all your trash away. There will be lots of trash cans spread throughout the facility. So just make sure that you pick up all your trash behind you.
I would say, and I don't know, I don't remember if this is in the slide deck or not, but similarly, as you guys have done a really good job at the qualifiers I've seen, but just a reminder for coaches and your athletes and partners, at the bench areas, if you do have your bottled water or whatever else, make sure you clean up the bench area and leave it in pristine condition for the next team. In previous years, we've had to go through and clean up a little bit at the bench areas after games. So just appreciate your support and making it a nice arrival for the next team, and appreciate your support on that.
Yes, thank you, Steve. We ask that all athletes bring their own water, but we will have water bottles if an athlete needs it, or coach or player, unified partner, whoever. We will have some water bottles there. We will have bottled water. We have bottles filled with water there for athletes and players. But we do ask that you bring your own waters to start.
We do have a question, Melissa, in regards to, can players bring Gatorade and other drinks or whatever in their bags into the gym?
I will have to double check on that.
You know, the one thing we do know is that, and I'd have to go back and I can't remember exactly right now, but Xfinity Center in University of Maryland is a Pepsi campus,
which is Powerade, not Gatorade.
Powerade, not Gatorade. With that being said, we had to go out, and when we purchased the bottled water, we had to abide by their exclusive rights with Pepsi, which is the Aquafina. So, you know, I don't know how strict they'll be, but we need to respect them for the use of their facility. So wanted to let you know that.
And I'll double check to see if we can bring in our own stuff. And I will let you guys know when I send out the schedule.
Yeah. Another question came in is, will there be concessions for spectators, Melissa?
No, their concession stands will not be open during the event. With the free parking, there is a ton of restaurants within a 5-minute drive or less. There's some in walking distance, honestly. So the concession stands in the arena will not be open. But like I said, like I mentioned, there are restaurants, a ton of restaurants, pretty much anything you can think of, within a 5-10 minute drive. So no concession stands. And I was actually just about to mention that. So thank you, whatever coach asked. But no, please let your families know that there will not be concession stands open at the facility.
There was another question, and Mike Sarnowski, if you can confirm what I'm getting ready to say is correct. Are fans and athletes, spectators, et cetera, allowed to sit with each other and intermingle in between games?
Yes.
Right now, because we're in the low risk category. Well, Mike, I see you've unmuted. So
I said yes.
Yes. He said yes.
Yeah.
Steve's just in here, but yes.
And learn to accept yes as an answer. So.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you because you're. Well, never mind, doesn't matter. Thank you.
So yeah, so we're not like at soccer and flag football in the fall. We had different spectator seating with the numbers how they are in COVID. We are allowing everyone to sit together and intermingle with each other. Okay. A few other things, just as I mentioned, open parking. So there's free parking all weekend in lots 4B and 9B, which on the previous map, it shows the two parking lots, one in the front, one in the back of the Xfinity Center, both open for free parking. So just again, please follow all parking signs. Don't park where you're not supposed to, where it says no parking, don't park there. But you do not need a parking pass to park in 9B or 4B. Okay. Medicals, coaches, as always, all practices, all games, you should always have copies of your athletes' medicals with you at all times. We will have medical coverage in both gyms for court 1 or the Gary Williams court and the pavilion. We have separate medical staying in both of those gyms all day, both days. So we will have medical coverage there. And as I mentioned, the awards area will be presented up on the main concourse area, right around the corner from the Heritage Room and the performance stations. All right.
We do have one question, Melissa. It came in, and I don't remember off the top of my head. We just reviewed some of the divisions and brackets this afternoon. But the question was, how many games will the 3v3 teams play?
Every team, 3v3 and 5v5, will play 2 games.
There are 1 or 2 possibilities of a third game.
For 2-team divisions, there is 1 2-team division in 5-on-5, which everyone knows I'm not a fan of 2-team divisions, but it's the best with how this went this year. There is 1 2-team division, and so they will play best 2 out of 3 games. So that division does have the opportunity to play a third game, but everyone else plays 2 games. We have a lot of 4-team divisions, which means pretty much it's going to be a bracket where you'll play your first game. The winners of those 2 games, will go to the championship game for gold and silver, and the other 2 teams will go to the runner-up bracket for 3rd and 4th place. So just one thing I wanted to mention, you guys all know this season, we're very excited to have this season. Just wanted to talk about a couple things real fast. In 2020, before we shut down, we had 104 teams over 3-on-3 and 5v5. That's from 3-on-3 traditional, 3-on-3 PDU, 5-on-5 PDU, 5-on-5 traditional, and 5-on-5 unified. We had 104 teams. This year, we only have 41. Okay. So as confident as we are with these divisions, a lot of things have changed. There's a lot that went into making these divisions. It's not like, oh, well, they should be okay with each other. No, had a lot of thought, a lot of talking with some coaches, with some management team members. And we think we came up with some really great divisions for some really good games, competitive games. But we did go from 104 teams to 41. In 3-on-3 PDU, we only have 8 teams. In 3-on-3 traditional, we only have 11 teams. I think in 2020, we had like 36. That's a big gap. That's a big loss that we had. And we're not blaming anyone for that loss. I'm just trying to give you guys the facts. 5-on-5 traditional, I think we had, again, like in the mid to high 30s number of teams in 2020. Whereas in this year, we only have 15 traditional teams in 5-on-5. Unified, I think we had 16 unified teams. We have 7. So there are 2 divisions, and I sent out emails to those coaches today. There are 2 divisions in 5-on-5 that are going to be considered an open division, which means there are unified and traditional teams playing against each other. We believe that with the skill set and the ability of those teams, they are a good match for each other. And there will be some good games. They will be tough games, but they will be good competitive games. Partners all know what they're doing. The coaches that are coaching those unified partners know what they're doing. We've had conversations with all the partners and unified coaches. They know how to play the game. Partners can do everything an athlete can do. Okay. Mentors in PDU are different. Unified partners can score. They can play defense. They can steal the ball from an athlete. They are a full player on that court. But I just want you guys just be aware, as confident as we are in these divisions, we went from 104 teams to 41. It's a very big gap.
Yeah, and there may be some individuals who are joining by phone and may not have seen Mike Sarnowski's comment. And I just want to mention this for those individuals that, as Mike stated in his chat, that given the pandemic and the situation that we've been through, it's absolutely phenomenal that we do have the amount of teams in 5U5 and 3D33 and PDU and the amount of athletes and skills as well. So it's not something we're disappointed in at all. We are absolutely thrilled to be able to have this competition, and the numbers that through the area leadership and you as coaches have given the opportunity and created the opportunity for the athletes, where there are several states who are still just now returning to activities and have been unable to do any in-person activities for almost going on 2.5 years. So yeah, it's not the numbers that we've had in the past, but we're on the mend, if you will, and we're coming back with fury. And again, just really excited to have this competition and the opportunity for the athletes.
Yes, thank you, Mike and Steve. I don't want you guys to think that I'm upset that we only have 41 teams. I mean, obviously it sucks, but I'm ecstatic we have 41 teams. I mean, it's still a lot of teams that we're able to have. That's more teams than I think some states have in their whole program. So for us to have that at the tail end of a COVID uproar, I'm very happy about that. You guys know basketball is, I shouldn't say this, but basketball is my favorite sport. Okay, I mean, I played it my entire life. I've been involved with it since I was 5. This is one of my favorite events. Just the opportunity to have qualifiers and to have this event, the state championship, and at Maryland of all places, like this is going to be one to remember for many reasons. So it is thanks to you guys for being there, coaching these athletes. I know it hasn't been easy for anyone, combining teams, all that stuff. So please know that we greatly appreciate everything that you've done as coaches to ensure that your athletes have practices, have games, and have this opportunity to play. And we have a question. Carol's uniforms are white with black lettering. Would skills have to wear all the same color undershirt, or can they be a mix of white and black depending on what they have? And Lynn is a skills coach. We'd still like you guys to follow the team protocols with the uniforms. So everyone needs to wear the same color undershirt under their uniforms. Jack, do parents have access to the schedule on the website? The schedule has not been posted yet, but once it is posted tomorrow, yes, they will have access to the coach resource page as well. And they will be able to get the schedule, but I will be sending it out to you guys as coaches for you to send off to them as well.
Yeah, and I think, Jack, just to reiterate that point, is the coaches resource page is there primarily for sharing information with coaches, but it is a public site. There's nothing preventing anybody else from going into our coaches resource page and clicking on the information there to check for themselves. So just wanted to make everyone aware of that. So if there's not like a passcode or there's nothing behind the scenes that we've said, these are the people who can access it. So it is up for public consumption.
Yep. Is there seating in the pavilion? So the pavilion has bleachers, but the way that we will be playing, going side to side on the courts, the bleachers will be pushed in, but we will have chairs for spectators on the sides. We'll have folding chairs, which is once your game is done, why we ask you to go back to the Xfinity Center main gym so that the next parents can come in and watch their athletes play. So yes, there are seats. It's not going to be a lot of seats. So once your game is done, please head back to the other gym where there's more than enough seating for all special like this Maryland period. So I don't even know if we can fit everyone into the Xfinity Center. So there's plenty of seating in the Xfinity Center. Pavilion will just have a little bit of folding chairs. can you post the schedule elsewhere? Where else would I post it, Jack? You unmute, Jack.
Jack, I've asked you to unmute yourself. If you want to give us an idea what you're asking there, you should be able to unmute. Yeah.
No, is there anywhere else that we can post that on the Special Olympic website if you don't want the parents to go to the coach's resource?
No, the coaches are more than welcome to go to the coach resource page.
I know the coaches are. I'm talking about.
No. Families are allowed to go there as well. We named it the coach resource just because there's a lot of resources for you as coaches, but it is, like Steve said, a public site that parents are more than welcome to go look at as well.
And I have one last question. Are we using the scoreboards? Are we using the small scoreboards even on the Gary Williams court?
So on Saturday, on the Gary Williams court, we'll be using the big scoreboard, which is really awesome.
Obviously.
Very excited about that. In the pavilion, we will be having smaller electronic scoreboards. And then on Sunday for 3-on-3, all the courts will have a smaller electronic scoreboard because we can't separate.
I just we've had problems years ago with how loud they were and disturbing. I mean, how loud the buzzer, the horn, all that stuff was. For 3-on-3, I'm not talking about 5.
Yeah.
I'm just okay.
So
I'm
maybe
good.
what we
Thank
can
you.
do is I'll work with my team to try to figure out, maybe we'll put one scoreboard on one side of the court and the other on the other side.
Well, no, you're fine with the
Something.
small ones. You're small with the fine ones. That's good. It's the
Oh,
big
yeah.
main one. That's all I'm thinking.
Up
at
Oakdale,
Washington,
I know what you're talking about.
there was a
they'll all be
qualifier a
smaller.
few years ago where they were using air horns.
We're not doing that.
Well, but at the Xfinity Center, it's going to be a lot. It'll be loud.
Yes.
That's fine. Good. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks, Jack. Are there any other questions? I know there was a lot of information given out tonight, and I know I talked pretty fast through it because we're already almost at our hour. But if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me, or you can type it into the chat right now. But again, I will be sending out the schedule tomorrow. So I'll send this out, follow up out tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow afternoon is when you will get the schedule. Please don't come to me and ask for the schedule once I send out these PowerPoints. I'm going to send it in 2 separate emails. One, this in the morning, follow up to this, and then the afternoon will be the schedule, just so there's not too much information in the one email. Have 2 separate emails at different times. So please be on the lookout tomorrow afternoon for the schedule and tomorrow morning for this follow-up. I'll put the address in there for everyone that you can send to your families and everything like that, with some other reminders. But thank you guys again for joining us tonight. I don't want to take up more time than we told you we were going to take. But again, I just want to say thank you for all that you've done. And I'm super excited for this weekend to see all the gains in action. So thank you and have a great night.
Hey, Melissa, if you could,
Yes.
you can kill the recording, but if you could not end the session